Alright, I have another electrifying video for you here today. This one is going to be the August 2024 Regents, and let's just get us started. Again, here we have the Mughals. So it's interesting they start with the Mughals twice. What we're looking for, based on this, was one of the main causes of the collapse of the Mughal Empire. So the Mughals failed because they made little, if any, effort to drag India out of the Middle Ages. Okay. So they lagged way behind Europe, behind China and Persia. They hardly had any vigor in the economy. The scant spirit of enterprise among the people and agriculture, industry, and trade. Indian practices were outdated. The Mughals were formidable conquerors, but ineffective governors. So we're talking about how they were not with the times. So what was the collapse caused by? Was not an entrepreneurial. It was the opposite of an entrepreneurial spirit, so it's not that one. It was not rebellions. A lack of trained military forces. It did not say anything about that. Sounds like it's going to be poor governing. 4. Which course of action did the British take in the passage in response to situations described in the passage? They propped up the government. They expanded territorial over the Indian subcontinent. Yeah, they took over India. That's what we know. Okay. Now we have Oxford, 1992. Okay. English agriculture differed from the European continents in other suggestive ways. Technological revolution in farming. Right, so we're talking about the agricultural revolution. By the 19th century, a rural society had emerged in England. Inequality, though. Property ownership was usually concentrated. Rents had risen, stagnated. Okay. According to this passage, which one was what impact of the agriculture in Europe? So, social class distinctions were eliminated. No, we saw that it was an unequal social society. Wage labor led to a growing gap between the rich and poor. That's a possible answer. Rural populations increased and urban populations declined. I don't think it says anything about that. London was one of the most rapidly growing cities in Europe, so it's not that one. Property ownership was equally dispersed among social classes. Again, we had the social inequality. That means your answer is going to be 2. Number 4, what impact did speakers C and D have on world history? C and D. Strengthen the female mind by enlarging it, and there will be an end to blind obedience to men. Okay, so that's very feminine. A trade founded in inequity carried out was abolished. Let this policy be what it might. Let the consequences be that they would. I, from this determination that I would never rest until I effected its abolition. Okay. I'm going to guess that we're talking about abolishing laws against women. I still can't write. So there's nothing about mercantilism and capitalism. Their arguments caused an ineffective switch from there's nothing about rules. Their ideas helped abolish the suffrage, anti-slavery, the arguments led to the creation of labor unions. So it's women. This is the only one that has stuff about women. And abolition is probably the abolition of slavery. Okay. These speakers and ideas arguments were influenced by were this early in the test. It is 1000% going to be the Enlightenment, right? Because it's a chronological test. So in the beginning, we're going to get some Enlightenment questions, some agricultural rev, maybe some of the Mughals that we're seeing, right? It's going to be number 1, just based on the location of the test. We have taxes and forced labor. We have these 2 estates stepping on the 3rd estate, right? So this cartoon could be used to explain the probably causes. Europeans moved from rural to urban challenges faced by nobles in the 18th century. It is going to be 1, the causes of the French Rev. It's very straightforward. Which statement best represents the response taken by the 3rd estate? They did not end the Reign of Terror. They loved it. They declared themselves the National Assembly. That is the tennis court. Tennis. Spelled with 1 N because I can't do anything here. Oh, God. Alright. Well, it's going to be 2. It's going to be 2. Okay. Here we go. Rights of women and the female citizen. What problem did Olympe de Gouges have hoped to directly address with this passage? I'm going to guess it's going to be this one because it's the only one that has talks about women. So I don't even have to read this, but let's see here. Demanding incorporated the National Assembly, so they want to be in the political movement. The Sacred Rights of Women Declaration, yes, that is going to be, where is it? They want to address the exclusion of women. History of Asia. Which claim about the Ottoman Empire is best supported by this passage? Ooh. It was a new Western idea. Hold on here, let me highlight. It was a new Western idea, nationalism, which seemed to spell the doom of the Ottoman Empire. So we know we're talking about the Turkish state. Woo. It seemed that the disintegrating state would fall prey to one of the powers of Russia. The Tsar appeared would be the heir to the defensive Turkish state. So it basically was talking about the British Prime Minister did not want Russia to take the Ottoman Empire. I would say it's this one. Because it's not this one. There's nothing about that in there. European leaders believed Ottoman reforms could strengthen the Turkish state. Ottoman Empire, English rule would not tolerate. Yeah, it's not that. It's gonna be number one. There's also nothing about uniting in this. Alright, next one. Woo, another little comic here. It so began. China attempted to rid herself of foreigners. We have the first Opium War. China, you lose. See the support of Hong Kong and pay 2 million taels of silver. Sir, the Chinese are weakened internationally in their rebellions. Increase the supply of opium to China. Including a second Opium War and then the Taiping Rebellion. What was the only reason British wanted to increase the supply of opium to China? It would be to not encourage Chinese industries, not to promote peace. It'd be to gain more profit. In which way did the situation show in the cartoon significantly affect China? China was able to defeat Britain and isolate itself. Nope. China unified its people and strengthened its political. Nope. Nope. It would be those spheres of influence that we actually saw in class today. My phone is going off the hook right now. Oh. Okay. Well, alright, we're talking about Japan right now. I think it's going to be that Meiji Restoration. Let's see. The importance of Western civilization opening a gaping chasm between town and country, between educated and uneducated, between the connected and unconnected. And it's talking about the Meiji reforms. Many farmers who enjoyed the fruits of Japanese native in large part. The Japanese social and economic charges of the late 19th century described in passage were a result of rapid industrialization because we have the Meiji reforms, which claim about the impacts of foreign influence in Japan is best supported by the passage. New agricultural demand, increased demand, public education, open new employment opportunities for Japanese women. Nothing in there about women. Newly open markets for exports enhance the wealth. Nope. Change message for talking equality. Nope. So that leaves literally one. Wait. That's not right. The reason why that's not right is because it talks about inequality, and it says that the farmers were crushed and there were growing pains. So that one's actually going to be 4. That's me making 4 red as the answer is going to be 4. It is most certainly not going to do that. Alright, World War. Before and after 1914, which claim is best supported by this illustration? The same problems existed before and after the war. We have national hatred, military competency, economic rivalries to produce. Economic rivalries, natural hatred. Yeah, no territorial disputes. It's literally the same thing. The same problems existed before and after the war, which was a direct outcome of the event in the illustration. It's going to be 2. East Germany was occupied by the Soviets. Nope. Because that's way after that. And these ones are just not in there. So it's going to be the League of Nations was created to settle this because they thought that it was still not good enough. And they were right, because World War II will break out. In 1919, Woodrow Wilson arrived in France to sign the treaty ending World War I. Ho Chi Minh supposing the president's self-determination. Applied to Asia, donned a cutaway coat, wore a Western suit. 1904, Japan's legion swept into China. What evidence best supports the claim by Ho Chi Minh Pass that it was patriotism, not communism, that inspired him? Yeah, he reached out. He regularly compromised with the French to the ease of transition of power. I don't think that was in there at all. Yeah, so it's not that at all. He did not only talk to communists. Did not think of Japan as an ally. He reached out to the U.S. president, because it says it right in the start. He, right here, tried to make friends with Woodrow Wilson. Based on this passage, which action was being recommended by Ho Chi Minh? Armed rebellion. Because he wasn't like a civil disobedient, peaceful protest guy. They did the whole Vietnam War thing. Question 18 and 19. What event led to the depicted illustration? So we have Kemal, I'm going to guess that's Kemal Ataturk, the new architect of Turkey. Turkey is joining the League of Nations, equal rights for women, separation of church and state, government planning and industry, improvement in agriculture, modern legal codes. That is going to be what event led to the situation described? It's the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Because Turkey takes over. The Ottomans fall, Turkey rises. Based on this illustration, which course of action is being recommended by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk? It's going to be not strict Sharia law, adopting social and political changes. It's not going to be involving that, and it's not going to be doing that. It's number 3. Because all these things are very modern, Western and modern. The White Rose. 2 students at the University of Munich were arrested and taken to company. Hans Scholl and his sister Sophie were members of the White Rose, an underground anti-Nazi resistance group. The Nazis were committed to committing genocide against Jews. So what is the purpose of this article? To confirm the goals of the German totalitarian regime? Maybe. To illustrate geographic context. There's nothing about geographic context. We'll cross that out. To draw attention to resistance efforts against the Nazis. That's absolutely it. Number 3. Based on the article, which type of action taken behind can be best described as, I would say, ooh. What were they doing? They were placing leaflets in public places. I think it's a non-violent protest. It is not terrorist sabotage, it's not scapegoating, it's not appeasement. NATO. Based on the passage, what was the main purpose of the establishment of NATO? We already know what NATO was meant to do. It is going to be 2. Because it was a peacetime military to help rebuild the economies. Boom. Stability in war-torn economies of Europe. The other answers were just awful too. Like, it wasn't meant to punish Germany. Germany was in NATO. America did not remain isolated, and it was also not to prevent democracy spreading. They hoped democracy would spread. So here we have the world being crushed. Big sad face world between 2 bombs. U.S. bombs though? Happy. Those are good bombs. Russian bombs? Oh no. That's sad. Very sad bombs. How many minutes do I have left? Oh, I have so much time. Okay. Which statement best describes or best represents the position of the world in this cartoon? Not good, right? So many governments do not see the potential to destructive powers put the world in a compromised position. Yep, I think that's going to be that one. It's not peaceful. It's not talking about costs. It's not talking about superpower threats. Well, or it's not talking about superpower threats in that way. Which later development was a result of the political situation shown in this cartoon. Soviets and the Americans negotiated treaties to limit nuclear weapons. European nations united in opposition, and it's going to be number 1, but superpowers maintain total control, not true. NATO saw the destruction of all atomic bombs, no, and no. It's going to be 1. Okay, we're talking about Iran. In Iran, which group probably opposed the policies the most? I'm going to guess women, because they can't even ride bikes over there. Let's see here. Let's see. Well, based on this article, though, in this passage, it's all about school. We have schools, and then break the power of religious hierarchy, education, monopoly on children. There's actually nothing about women in this one, so it's not going to be that one. It's going to be 3. College students, because we see primary and secondary schools. Yeah. Which event would later reverse many of these changes? Oh, wait. Hold on a second here. This is a trick question. Okay. So I just got suckered in, but this felt wrong. Okay. Let me highlight some key things here. So the Shah is talking about breaking the power of religious hierarchy. So who would be opposed to that? Religious leaders. What's going to undo that is when those religious leaders take power during the Iranian Revolution, which is going to be later, because this is 1935. So it's going to be 2 and 4. Sorry guys, I took like 2 shots of espresso and I'm still falling asleep here. Oh my god. I can't wait for this week to be over. Alright, the Maritime Silk Road was initially proposed by President Xi Jinping, China, during a speech to the Indonesian parliament. The aims to reach Europe originating on Chinese shores. And then the planned route goes through all of these areas, which is a lot, right? The American Second Silk Belt presents a fresh opportunity for China to increase demand for its industrial output. Based on this article, what major problem is China attempting to overcome? It's going to be territorial debates in the South China Sea, China's growing economic power. I think they're trying to overcome territorial disputes, or it's either going to be, this is a good one to do a 50-50 guess. It's not going to be the slowing economic growth. It's not going to be disputes between Vietnam and China. It's going to be one of these two. And if you guess either of those, it would make sense. I would say it's going to be 3. But it really could be 2. I'll have to look that one up after. I'll have enough time to look up the answers here. Which claim about the maritime silk is best for this article? It will connect countries in Africa and Europe for trade. That's pretty good. Yep. It is more important to China's economy than overland routes. That's not the case. It will give China control of Suez Canal in India. Not the case. It will turn Southeast Asia into Chinese colonies. It's not the case, but it's not a bad idea. I think it's going to be number 1. That's it. So this one actually really didn't have a whole bunch of modern time stuff, which I appreciate because we usually don't get that much time to go to it. Let me pull up the answer key here. So 27, I said 3. That's really the only one I'm concerned about. Let's leave and go back. I believe that was the August. Scoring key, PDF. Alright, 27 is 1. Is that the right? Did I do the right one? 1 and 1? Oh god, did I do the wrong one? Ouch, Nike. Hold on here. Hold on tight. No, that's the right one. China's slowing economic growth. I bombed that one. Okay, so that's 1. Hands up on that one. That was a tough one. I guess it depends on the time you think about how its economic growth is slow. It's pretty freaking strong now, though. The rest of those I feel confident about. So, thank you for watching this video. If you're doing this, you're doing the right thing. And I will post one more, and we will be all done. Peace and love.